The No Money But Dreams podcast is for those millennial dreamers
who try to be in the top 1%.
It doesn't matter what we've achieved.
We wake up every morning with the mindset that we're still broke,
We welcome you on our journey in search of that home run.
which can change everything.
Everything?
Everything.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the No Money But Dreams podcast. Yours sincerely, Mr. Tariq Shabib and Alexander Debar. Today, this episode is called Why Education? This is a debate or a conversation which we have on a regular basis for my future kids, for your already born kids, and maybe a future child somewhere down the line. And all the people that we've learned so much ourselves.
Before you switch off, this is not going to be about kids.
No.
This is going to be about people like you and me, millennials, and how education applies to them.
But I do want to put in I want to put in that bit about my future kids.
Your
I don't
unborn,
think they're going to go to university.
Your unborn
Because I want to just, I love that kind of stuff, right? No, you don't know what you're talking about. And then 10 years down the line, they're like, you did know what you were talking about.
Yes. So we agree on this fact, actually.
Yeah.
We don't think that our kids will go to university in the way that university
Is today, or the way we went to university.
Yes. And then the funny thing is, which we just discussed offline, we're saying this,
But you're sending your kids to a private school.
Yeah. So my kids are in a school where they get educated in German and in English because I want them to grow up bilingual. It's not cheap, right?
It's probably one of the most expensive schools.
Yeah, I've spent more money on my kids than on my own education throughout university and everything together.
Jesus Christ.
And they're 4 and 5, right? We
love you.
Exactly. Which is crazy. So I am going the traditional route to give them whatever I think is best. But we and then
But
when
what
they
we
get,
might think what will be best at the time of higher education of university is going to be a bit different than what we maybe think now.
yeah. And why is this going to be different? Because we already have Udemy, Coursera, Khan Academy. We have got Harvard, Penn University, all these different kind of
Courses.
Traditional institution offering most of their knowledge online, right?
Yeah.
You can learn how to code. You can do all these different things online. And then
And they go down into really specific things as well, which is so interesting. Like if I want to learn a specific thing, I can go and learn that in 6 weeks.
And the amazing thing, I did one of these courses from UPenn.
Which one?
From Jonah Berger. I read his book on marketing and digital marketing.
Interesting.
And the guy is a UPenn prof, and he has written books, and he's a great guy. Getting a Coursera course, which was $200, and consuming that whole content online, but having a video course. It's like a workout program, but teaching you a skill, right? And going to the depth and the quality of education is something that you could never get. Imagine you went to a university where we went, CAS, and you can only get those 10 professors that are there. But now, all of a sudden, I've got access to Harvard professors, to people in Australia, to people wherever. It democratizes education,
Yeah.
but it also gives you as a consumer access to education that you could never afford otherwise.
Yeah.
Right?
Afford with money and with time.
Exactly. You can't just change country every time you want to go and take a course. Yeah. So I think when my kids get a bit older, they will get to a point where they pick and choose their education and what they're interested in. And this is why I hated school. I hated school because I had to do these 13 subjects.
Yeah, they force you. It's broken. The system doesn't work.
So that's why I hated that. But when I got to university and I actually started studying business, where most of the courses I was really interested in, I became a very good student.
Exactly.
So if you can stop wasting your time with things that you're not interested in, and you actually start investing time, and you get to the age of 20, and imagine how much time we wasted watching TV and doing homework which we weren't interested in.
I was actually talking about this the other day, is how much free time you actually have just wasted.
Exactly. But imagine now your child comes to you and says, hey, I want $100 for this course, $100 for that course. And this month he's interested in marketing. Next month he's interested in coding, and then in horse riding.
Yeah.
Right. And he will have so many more skills by the time he comes out of school, the traditional kind of school. And then by that time, it is not like, oh, I'm going to try law, or I'm going to try business, or I'm going to try whatever. He actually has a much better understanding of what he likes, because he would have probably already tried it. Why do you have to wait to university to try whether you like that subject or not?
Agreed.
Right?
And I also feel like school doesn't really prepare you for the choices you could have in the professional world. Like they tell you can be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, or a banker.
When you hire someone straight out of university, they're a liability.
Yeah.
They're absolutely a liability to the business, because you have no idea. He doesn't know how to do the job. You have to teach him everything. You may teach him for 3 months, and he says, thank you very much for this knowledge. I'm going to go somewhere else. You lost all the hiring costs, all this invested time, and it's gone. They're liability, right? How cool would it be that someone comes in and they've already proven with certificates they can do this job?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do digital marketing and you're responsible for Google and you have done the Google certificates and you can show that you know how to do PPC or display, programmatic advertising, you have shown all these courses that you can do it. Wouldn't you be much more comfortable in giving someone like that a job than someone that has studied marketing?
Yeah, 100%.
Which is textbooks and hasn't got any practical experience.
Definitely.
Right? So, okay.
I think the interesting thing there is how are businesses going to benchmark the capability? Because right now, having a certificate like a 2-1, as stupid as it is, a first, a 2-1 or whatever, is kind of like this foot in the door that you're adequate to have a chance of doing this business. You know what I mean? So how they're going to benchmark that is going to be interesting. And I think that's where the disruption is going to have to take place for the employer to feel comfortable to give somebody a shot with what we wouldn't accept now as status quo as acceptable, like academia.
So I fully believe that elite universities are not going to go away, and they're going to always have their appeal. And
Definitely.
It's for the brand.
Yes.
It's for the brand and the network that you get in these universities. Like if someone can
network is important.
If someone can get into a Stanford, that will always carry weight.
Yeah.
Right? But 99% of people don't.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
And for these people, how can you, instead of having something on your CV that is a plaque of approval that you have passed the course and it's difficult and you have shown that you've got longevity and stamina to get through it, how can you compete with people like this? Well, now there's people on YouTube that make millions as kids reviewing product or creating digital art like NFTs or like whatever, right? So you acquired a skill and you educated yourself in one way or another, whether you spent countless hours watching YouTube videos.
You had democratized access to the whole world. You post something on Instagram. If people like it, they'll share it and like it.
So I think now already, like, you can see where people apply and say, hey, I've grown a brand of X to 100,000 followers and I can do this social media. Like if you shut your business or sold your business and went then to want to get marketing jobs, you can show them, look, I've grown this to 100,000. Like I don't have a degree specifically in marketing, but I know all the actual day-to-day that you need to implement to get your brand up and running.
Yeah.
You can open a consultancy for other food businesses and run their social media.
For sure.
Right? So like by actually proving your skill, this education is going to be so much more valuable, and the variety.
I guess the difference is that right now you theoretically have the skills.
Yeah.
But in the future, you'll actually have the skills.
And we both know when we came out of business school, we didn't have any skill.
Yeah, nothing.
You read textbooks,
fresh meat,
and you understand the theory, but
did you say Ethereum?
No, not really. Right? That's it. So now
it's a matter of practicality and theory.
Yeah. This is pretty like backward looking, and it's probably not interesting to most of the people that are watching us. But what is interesting is education at our kind of level, right? And for me, I've gone through like a roller coaster with this. When we were in Silicon Valley in like 18, 19, it was definitely very, very appealing to think about doing an MBA.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
remember when we went to Stanford?
Oh man,
we somehow got in. How did we get into the?
I don't know,
we got into the library
and
like we sat down, put the laptop, and I looked at you and I was like, I never want to leave.
Like it was an amazing feeling, and that was very appealing. Like to do an MBA, right? But an MBA means basically $200,000 tuition fees, living costs, and then you have to think about all the opportunity cost of not earning for this year or 2 years, right? So you're probably,
I mean, for me, it would be impossible.
yeah, if you're at a certain level, it may cost you all in maybe $500,000 to $1 million,
Yeah.
which is a crazy investment. And then you think, who is doing these MBAs, right? It's usually people that want to get a promotion, that want to change careers, or they want to get access to a completely new kind of network, right?
Yeah.
And that may be very appealing, and it was very appealing to me. But at the same time, I didn't do it, right? But at the same time, I'm missing this being in university and progressing and learning a new skill. And now, on our day-to-day, where you're very busy with work, you have got responsibilities, you're a dad, you've got a girlfriend, or whatever it is very difficult to put specific time down to educate yourself. But it is so important, because if you don't educate yourself, you find yourself somewhere in your career where you're not relevant anymore, and you're dying breed, right?
Yeah, easily.
Like, if you get laid off at 50, are you really going to be able to compete with a 20-year-old to talk about marketing? No. Going to be very difficult. So you got to keep educating yourself. So I want to talk about education at our kind of level, and how we keep abreast with the newest kind of things, and how we try to educate ourselves. We did an episode on,
I mean, for
books.
me, hands down, okay, there's books, but really, like, it's podcasts for me.
So, and
Like, I rape podcasts to the point now I listen to, like, I don't need music to work out. I'm listening to, like, financial podcasts.
yeah,
And what has really interested me is NFTs, metaverse, but trading in general. The appeal of venture capital or being a trader or something like that is huge. And I just spend a lot of time listening to these different capital allocators. And you learn so much from a guy who's 55, from 45 to 65, who's invested in I don't know how many companies, more than you could ever learn by listening to a professor teaching you something.
Yeah.
And then if you see something you really like, you research a bit more, you dig a little deeper into it, and you get all your answers, man. And it's
podcast is
unbelievable.
one thing, which I would say maybe for the last year has been really on top of your list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listening to books was kind of like what we did before.
Yeah, I used to listen to a lot of
4 or
books.
5 years ago, we would like religiously listen to books. I remember there was a year where I did 50 books in a year.
See, I tried to start reading books, and that put me off books, and it pisses me off. But it's so difficult to find time to sit and read a book.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas listening, you can consume and consume and consume.
Whilst you're driving, whilst you're in the gym, you have so much dead time. Which
I
you
literally,
can double up.
like when I'm really not busy, as in like today I had to move around a lot because I'm traveling tomorrow. So I had to come up here, I had to go back. But if I'm not moving around that much and I'm in my rhythm of my day, I don't have a dead period. If I'm not doing work, I'm listening to that podcast that I started in the morning. It's constantly learning and processing things, and your perspective on things and learning. It's just a never ending.
And it gives you access to people that you have never had access before.
An access that you could only dream of having. Like I listened to this new one, it's called All In. And it has Champath Palat, I can't say his name, and a few other guys. Man, these guys are industry veterans, man.
Yeah.
They're all worth like $2 billion, and they're just having banter.
Yeah.
You can learn so much.
What I've realized with our podcast is all the people that are in my team, I don't have enough time to spend with them, right? But a lot of them actually listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
And then I get a message, like a random message, like, this was cool. Like, because I listened to this, I'm now doing that. That's so cool, right? And you're multiplying your time with someone else. But
You're
for
multiplying your time with someone else, and you're also multiplying like your worth in society in a way.
Yeah.
Like when you're having these conversations about your learnings and telling your story, even if it's just for you to like, even if nobody was listening, it's interesting to come down here and have this chat with you and talk about all these things and formulate all of them. You know what I mean?
So education, like for us, it's podcasts, it's
audio books,
listening to books.
Yeah.
A lot of people get really interested in YouTube.
Yeah.
And they spend an insane amount of time learning skills on YouTube. Some people just dip in and out when they want to know something specific. But there's a lot of content on YouTube that people can consume that is very interesting to learn a new skill or to educate yourself, right? And then there's unbelievable amount of blogs and Twitter. where people...
Twitter, honestly, is becoming a very, very important platform to learn things.
Yeah, if you look at FinTwit or, MathTwit or all the different kind of Twitter...
I mean, there's a reason
niches
Elon took a 9% stake. He
Yes.
doesn't just take a 9% stake in anything.
Yes.
By Twitter. No.
But the interesting thing here is it's a different kind of way to consume content. So it's not very organized. It's like thread based, where you go down into a rabbit hole. But it's often a good starting point to get into a topic.
Yeah.
And then you do research on other kind of platforms.
Yeah.
Right? So when
there's so many platforms and tools to learn. Like, you have no excuse not to educate yourself in whatever you're interested in. And coming back to your point of keeping abreast with how things are changing and, I can't compete with that 20-year-old. Well, why don't you follow a couple 20-year-olds on Twitter who are at the forefront of marketing, for example? They'll give you a good idea of what you need to be thinking about or what they're learning about and all that kind of stuff.
And not even 50-year-old, but let's say 35-year-old, and you're competing with someone like this, right?
Yes.
And the thing that you always have that trumps them is experience, right? Wisdom and experience that cannot be taught to someone, even if they are very ambitious. Like, I look at myself 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought I knew a lot more than I actually did, but I had a lot of energy and I wanted to progress, and now I look at things from a different perspective. But by keep educating myself and being able to speak the language and be able to be at the forefront of where I need to be, because I listen to different kind of things.
Definitely.
Like, podcasts are really important to me as well. But for me, the notion of having to keep educating myself is also because I miss this feeling of university. And I think a lot of people can relate to this.
Yeah.
That when you're in a job, it's a lot of day-to-day and like repetitive tasks. How do you keep your brain engaged? And this comes back to the challenges as well. I want to have something outside of work which is challenging me, right? Because I don't want to define myself just because this is my job. I'm not the job. Right? I am my own person. And
who adds value in that particular job.
Yeah, exactly. And I can add even more value by keep educating myself in things that I'm interested in.
100%.
So I'm going to keep doing that as much as I can to add value to my family, to my career, to my progress, and to stay at the forefront of what is happening out there.
I think back in the day, before we had this access to YouTube, before Twitter, all these things where you could only literally just consume mainstream media or a TV show or something like that, you almost had an excuse to just come home and just like listen to retarded things which add you no value. But right now, literally you don't. You need to be jam-packing yourself with whatever you like. You like to read, then read blogs. As you said, you like to listen to things. You're on the move. You have your iPhone, you have your headphones on. I mean, the amount of things you can learn in 1 week.
Isn't it funny? Like, when we used to work out, I used to always listen to music, and that would get me pumped, right? People would share their music lists, like what. And now I'm listening, like if I'm listening to Winning or Relentless,
you get even
or
more
10X whilst I'm working out, man, I'm giving it my all, which is so funny. Like, it is something that resonates with me, and it gets me going in somewhere completely different. Like, I would have never thought that this could happen 3-4 years ago. And I've changed that. And for me, that time now is so valuable. When I do cardio, I answer emails. So I'm not like losing anything.
Exactly.
If I'm working out like weights, I'm listening to a podcast.
Whereas before you'd be watching a stupid TV show maybe or something like that to kill time.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. You wake up in the morning and you go, if you do go to the gym and you have that like twilight hour time, but listening to a podcast, like there's many times answering the next emails after that podcast, I'm taking stuff from that podcast. I'm taking words, I'm taking concepts and using them as myself.
Yeah.
Because it is. Who are you to say that I couldn't have acquired that knowledge 5 minutes before I wrote an email? It's still my fucking knowledge.
Yeah.
You know? And it puts you on a level of intellectualism which is way higher than if it's exponentially beneficial in every single way.
Yeah. So it's really important that if you have listened up until this moment in the show, that you take this away and you spend time educating yourself a lot more than you thought about up until now.
And it takes effort in the beginning. It takes an effort to find, like, you introduced me to Invest Like the Best. And to be honest, that was the only podcast that I could listen every single episode.
Yeah.
I listen to every single episode. If a new one comes out, like I'm gassed to listen to it, you know, like a TV show, like when Lost was popular and all that kind of stuff. But now I tried some others, it didn't click. Now I found 2 more, they both click. Now I consume all of them, you know? But you need to put in the effort to like see whether it works for you or it doesn't work for you, or it's interesting or it's not interesting. And things shouldn't be like a chore. I feel so many people look at, if something is not clicking, move on. Like if you don't like to read that book more than 15 pages, then just get another book.
It's the same with working out.
Yeah.
Right? People, they think, oh, I need to follow a keto diet or whatever. No, man, you need to do what makes you happy. The same with working out. If you don't like cardio, find the cardio that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, exactly.
5-a-side, play basketball, do whatever, play cricket.
Yeah, like I have no issue walking uphill for half an hour at speed 7 answering emails or listening to a podcast. It doesn't bother me. But if it doesn't work for you, then
exactly,
don't do it.
But you have to, this is really important, because otherwise you're not going to keep going at it. You got to find something
You'll burn out, man.
that is interesting to you.
Yeah.
If it doesn't interest you, you're not going to spend time educating yourself or listening to someone else talking about it. Invest Like the Best is one of them. For me, Acquired is another one.
You love Acquired. I'm getting into Acquired. There's All In, which is fantastic.
Knowledge Project.
Knowledge Project. You sent me one recently. What's the third one I'm
All
listening
In.
to? No, it's not All In. It's, man, it's really, really good one. Hold on. I got it. It is We Study Billionaires. That's a great one as well.
Have you been a guest on the show?
Not yet, unfortunately. I'm keeping a low profile.
Hopefully soon. All right. We're going to keep it short and sweet. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much
Thank you, guys. Take it easy. Bye.